everyone, this is Ravnia's blog, and welcome to Disney Month. Now, this is actually the first year I've tried out the Disney Month thing, and Disney Month is basically me talking about everything that deals with Disney. I can do movie reviews about Disney movies, or I could talk about I have something called Disney Discussions, which is what this video is all about. Is like a Disney discussion, but anyway, I have Disney Discussions, and I talk about things that deals with Disney. And so that's basically what I do for Disney Month is I talk about everything that deals with Disney. So for the first ever Disney discussions, this topic is going to be about how do you feel about the Disney sequels that came out in the late 90s, the late 1990s throughout the 2000s. And these include the sequels like The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, Pocahontas 2, Mulan 2, Cinderella 3, A Twist in Time. What else they had? During this decade. They also had Hunchback of Notre Dame 2, and The Fox and the Hound 2, Bambi 2, all those movies that came out through the late 90s, throughout the 2000s. And what are your thoughts about those type of movies? Well, here are my thoughts about the Disney sequels that came out throughout the late 90s and the 2000s. Um I thought some of them were pretty good and some of them were bad and some of them were like, why would they even make a sequel in the first place when the first movie had wrapped up so nicely? So for me, it was like a big mixed up bag. It was like, I see some movies were good, some movies were bad, and some movies was like, it was okay, but it wasn't great or anything. And then other movies are like, well, why would you make a sequel to it in the first place when the first movie wrapped up so nicely? So, some of the movies, some of the sequels I did like throughout the 90s and the 2000s was The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, and Cinderella 3, A Twist of Time. I think those two were like my favorite ones throughout those decades because The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, I like how they actually tried to continue the story from The Lion King. It didn't feel like a sequel that was like, okay, let's go back to this point in time in the first movie and make a whole movie about that, like what Tarzan 2 did and what Bambi 2 did. Make a sequel, but it's mostly like they sort of go back to that time period in the first movie, like in the second Bambi movie. Bambi's still a child, even though in the first movie he was like an adult towards the end. But then the second movie made him go back to being a child again. Same thing with Tarzan 2 is that throughout Tarzan, the first movie, Tarzan was an adult, and then for some reason they made him a kid in Tarzan 2. So I'm glad that the Lion King 2 Simba's Pride is not like that. It's more like how Simba deals with being the king himself and whether or not he's like Mufasa. And it focuses more on his daughter and Kovu. So I like how it actually focuses more on Simba's child, and it takes up after the first Lion King movie. So it doesn't feel like, we're like rehashing any kind of ideas or anything like that. We're actually doing something original with the franchise, and we're introducing new characters, we're introducing new problems for the characters. That's what I liked about Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. And I really like Cinderella 3, A Twist in Time, because I like how they use the time travel aspect to like undo certain things in the past. Like I think Cinderella 3 did a great job of making Lady Tremaine, or Cinderella's stepmother, to a more menacing character. Like I like the fact that she was able to steal the wand and she was able to turn back time before Cinderella was able to fit into the slipper. And she actually changed it to where her daughter Anastasia was the one who fit the slipper, not Cinderella. So I thought that was really interesting, and I thought that was very well done. So those were some two movies that I really liked from the late 90s and the 2000s. For most of the Disney sequels, I thought they were very well done. They actually did something original with it. So I really like those movies. And there were other movies that I didn't really care for, only because it's like again, like with Bambi 2 and Tarzan 2, and they made them into kids again, and I was like, why would you call this a sequel when they're kids again? That doesn't make any sense to me. But I like what they did with Lion King 1.5, where it's like, they focus on Timon and Pumbaa, but they call it 1.5 because it's like takes place after the first Lion King movie, but it's like we're looking at the point of view from Timon and Pumbaa in that movie. So I like how The Lion King 1.5 was handled in regards to we're looking at the movie from another character's point of view. Um, and then there were some sequels that I just didn't care much for. Like I didn't care much for the Hunchback of Notre Dame too, but a lot of it has to do with like the villain. Like Frollo's like one of my all time favorite Disney villains, and I love how he was portraying the Hunchback of Notre Dame. And I just didn't like this new villain they had in Hunchback of Notre Dame too. He didn't feel as threatening as Frollo was, and I just felt like that was a big disservice to the first Hunchback in Notre Dame movie, that we had to have a villain who's not as threatening as Frollo, and it just didn't feel like a satisfying sequel to the Hunchback in Notre Dame. So those are my thoughts about the Disney sequels from the late '90s to the 2000s. I felt like it was a whole mixed bag. Some of them were good, some of them were terrible. Others I was like, why do we even need a sequel in the first place? Because the first movie already wrapped up everything, so there's no need to make a sequel for it. So please tell me in the comments below, how do you feel about the Disney sequels in the late '90s and the 2000s? Throughout the 2000s, did you like him? Did you hate him? Did you wish that Disney had never made those sequels in the first place? Please feel free to comment below, and don't forget to follow me on Twitter so I can keep you updated any new videos I post up. And also like my Facebook page, Rabbit Ears Blogs Best Comments. And if there's any Disney related subjects that you want me to talk about, like if you want me to review a Disney movie or something like that, please feel free to comment below, and I'll see what I can do about it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is Rabbit Ears Blog, and I'll see you later.